Hi everyone, so today we're going to be dealing with another ex-vegan, and this one's name is Maddie Lymburner. Some of you may already be aware of her. She was a vegan health and fitness channel. I guess now she's plant-based or something, I don't know. But her channel mostly focused on vlogs, what I eat in a day, recipe videos. She also had some workout videos here and there. The usual thing, but she recently decided to quit the vegan diet and lifestyle. And she made an Instagram post about this, and what was weird about this Instagram post is the first thing she mentioned was just boredom. You know, she was bored about making these vegan-focused vlogs, and I think that says a lot about her mindset and what she really cares about here. I don't think if she was an actual ethical vegan and she was doing this for the animals, the first thing she'd complain about is, yeah, I was just bored with the whole thing. But later in the post, she mentions that the reason she started to incorporate animal products back into her diet was for health reasons. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. She made another post on her Instagram. It's this long video going over the health issues she had and why she included animal products back in her diet and some of the health benefits she experienced after doing it.
So I decided to include a very small amount of animal products in, test it, see how it goes, and the proof is in the pudding. I just feel overall a lot better, and maybe I'll go into a few more details in a YouTube video, but the thing that really sealed the deal for me was, you guys know I've struggled a lot with my hormones. I've struggled a lot with very, very bad period pain. It's been something that I've been struggling with pretty much ever since I'd gone vegan, came off the birth control pill. I did go and see a naturopath, did a hormone paneling test, discovered that I have a genetic disposition where I don't make enough estrogen. It runs in my family. I've been on bioidentical hormones now for a while. It didn't really do much at all. And when I started to include animal products, I started to notice a big difference. I was struggling so much to the point where I was at my breaking point, where I was just like ready to completely give up. I was struggling with really bad anxiety, depression. My skin was horrible. This is me right now, by the way, no filter. I wanted to be as real as possible. No filter, no makeup. And yeah, my skin was so bad. And the pain was absolutely insane. Like the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life, to the point where I was throwing up every single time I got my period because the pain was so intense, shaking, pain shooting all the way down into my legs. I was taking morphine for the pain, and that wasn't even touching the pain. And now this is my skin. I'm completely scarred, but I really don't have a lot of active pimples right now. Maybe like a couple, maybe like 3. But I'm really proud of how my skin is looking right now. And most importantly, this is what really sealed the deal. I don't get like insane pain anymore. It's manageable.
Okay, so first of all, there are few aspects of her story that don't make a ton of sense to me. First, she claimed that she went to see a naturopath to get some hormone tests done. Why would you see a naturopath when they're not medical doctors? Why wouldn't you see a medical doctor that specializes in this sort of thing, you know, hormones and menstrual pain? Why wouldn't you see an endocrinologist or a gynecologist? You know, those people might actually be able to help you. Naturopath probably doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, so strange choice to see a naturopath. And secondly, she claimed that the results of these tests showed that she has low levels of estrogen due to some sort of genetic mutation that runs in her family, so she just naturally produces less estrogen. And Maddie is assuming that her low levels of estrogen are the cause for her extreme menstrual pain. Again, that doesn't really make sense because elevated levels of estrogen are associated with worse menstrual pain. So if she had low levels of estrogen, it would be expected that she'd have less menstrual pain. I'd recommend you read an article by PCRM. They go through all of this, and they link research showing that plant-based dietary interventions that are high in fiber, low in fat, they help to reduce levels of estrogen in the body and as a result help to reduce menstrual pain. So kind of strange that, Maddie eating more animal products, reducing her fiber intake, she claims it helped to improve her menstrual pain. I'm not an expert in this area or anything. I'm not a gynecologist, endocrinologist, or whatever. But I'm assuming here that her menstrual pain isn't actually directly related to her low levels of estrogen. And there are some lifestyle things she's doing, like with her diet and her exercise, that I think are exacerbating these low estrogen issues, which is leading to the depression, anxiety, and there's some things she can do to fix this. So we're going to be taking a look at this paper titled Nutritional Aspects of Amenorrhea in the Female Athlete Triad. Amenorrhea is when women lose their periods, essentially. Now, Maddie it doesn't sound like she has this issue. It doesn't sound like she has any issues with irregular periods or lost her period. She said she only has issues with extremely painful periods and other issues associated with low estrogen levels like depression, anxiety, heart problems. Well, amenorrhea is also associated with low levels of estrogen, and there are diet and lifestyle factors that contribute to low levels of estrogen. So although this paper doesn't address Maddie Lymburner's specific issues, they are interrelated because this does also involve hormones. And I'm just going to read from the study. In this first section, they cover weight loss, how it affects the menstrual cycle, hormones, and I'm just going to relate this back to the issues Maddie Lymburner has. In several early studies, simple weight loss was suggested to be a factor in producing amenorrhea among sedentary women. 20 years ago, Frisch and MacArthur proposed a critical weight concept, stating that there is a set amount of body weight required to initiate and maintain menses. In their study and in subsequent research, dancers and athletes experiencing irregular menses had significantly lower body weights for height than their counterparts reporting regular cycles. The nature of the relationship between weight loss and menstrual dysfunction is not well understood. Women with weight loss-associated amenorrhea have been reported to have abnormalities in gonadotropin and estrogen secretion, and peripheral steroid metabolism. Other possible mechanisms for amenorrhea suggested by Frisch and MacArthur depend on the role of adipose tissue in the aromatization of estrogens and the potential effects of estrogens on hypothalamic regulatory centers. Fishman and others theorized that as body weight decreases, estrogen metabolism shifts from the normal 16-hydroxylation to 2-hydroxylation catechol estrogens. Catechol estrogens are steroids that structurally resemble estrogens but only have a weak estrogenic effect. So how does this relate to Maddie Lymburner? Well, if you take a look at any of her photos on her Instagram, she is quite slender in a lot of her photos. You could argue she looks a bit underweight. She could definitely stand to gain a few pounds, especially in some of these photos where she's been dieting for some time, where you can see her abdominal muscles. She's definitely not maintaining a healthy body weight, at least in some of these photos. And she very frequently diets to get leaner so she looks better. Maybe she feels more comfortable looking a certain way. But in any case, it seems that this sort of dieting is bad if you want to raise your estrogen levels. She already has a genetic issue, at least she claims, with producing enough estrogen. And doing the sort of weight loss where she calorie restricts, that reduces your estrogen secretion. Maintaining a low body weight like this also seems to be an issue for estrogen production. She might have to just gain a bit of weight to produce enough of these hormones. And on top of that, when you lose weight like this, it also seems to make you produce a less potent form of estrogen. So if Maddie is having issues with estrogen production and she has this genetic problem, she's definitely not doing herself any favors by, following the sort of lifestyle where she tries to stay really skinny and lean for Instagram so she can look good. This paper also found a role between body fat and hormone production, especially around specific areas. So they found that fat around the hips, buttocks, and thighs plays a key role in the female reproductive process, such that when these fat stores fall below a certain level, pregnancy and lactation may not be viable. Depletion of these specific fat deposits in female athletes could possibly account for menstrual abnormalities by providing a signal to the body that it cannot sustain fertility. So loss of fat around those specific areas seems to be especially important for hormone production. And again, if you take a look at Maddie Lymburner, she doesn't really have much fat anywhere in her body, especially when she diets down really lean. So again, by living this sort of lifestyle, she's not really doing any favors for herself if she's complaining about how, she's having all of these problems from low estrogen levels. And on top of all of this, Maddie is a very active person. She gets in a lot of exercise. And on one of her channels, that's all she does. She just uploads these workout videos, which are quite difficult, and she uploads these workout videos almost every day. And I'm sure on top of that, she's getting in other exercise and daily activity as well. So this exercise, it might have a synergistic effect with everything else that's going on with her caloric restriction, weight loss, maintaining this low body weight and body fat percentage. And she might just be getting in excessive exercise. And again, from this paper, they did find that excessive exercise can cause hormone suppression. They found that amenorrheic women who are exercising, they have elevated cortisol levels, and that elevated cortisol, it can suppress gonadotropin, which of course can lead to reduced estrogen production. So she's literally ticking all the boxes for reduced estrogen production. She already admits that she has some sort of genetic issue where she doesn't produce enough estrogen. But then on top of that, she's just making things worse by, dieting, caloric restricting, maintaining a low body fat percentage. The way her body fat is distributed as well isn't ideal. And she's getting in a lot of exercise, and all of these things have a synergistic effect, which I'm sure is only exacerbating this issue even more. And on top of that, her diet is playing a role as well. Again, she's eating plant-based. She was before eating 100% plant-based. And this study actually looks at vegetarian dietary patterns and how that can affect hormone levels within the body. So here's the section on vegetarianism. I'll skip through some of this a little bit, but this first paragraph here, it basically just goes over all of the research that found an association with vegetarian diet patterns and amenorrhea. There does seem to be a pretty consistent link between female athletes and amenorrhea who are following vegetarian diets. Now, what they found was that studies have shown that vegetarian women who consume twice as much fiber as non-vegetarian women had reduced circulating estrone and estradiol levels and significantly greater fecal excretion of estrogens. Dietary fiber increases fecal bulk, which in turn decreases the concentration of intestinal B-glucuronidase, an enzyme that hydrolyzes the bile acid steroid complex, an event necessary for the reabsorption of estrogens. Some fibers may also bind nonpolar estrogens in the intestinal lumen, reducing their reabsorption. Preliminary results in the large Finlandia study have revealed positive correlations between intake of total fiber and plasma concentration of sex hormone binding globulin, and negative correlations between fiber and plasma percentage of free estradiol. The results could be a reduction in the bioavailability of the hormone for reproductive and other functions. Plant lignans and isoflavones have weak estrogenic activity and may compete with estradiol for binding sites. It is also being suggested that lignans and isoflavones reduce the biological activity of estradiol. Recent studies suggested that isoflavone intake from soy was a factor in causing amenorrhea in a group of women. The inability of research to consistently show that calorie deficits, body fat losses, or excessive exercise cause menstrual dysfunction may be explained by the failure to consider adjustments to metabolic rate and or specific body fat stores that may accompany exercise training in certain individuals. In addition, while the evidence linking dietary fat and caloric intake levels to menstrual dysfunction is inconsistent, the failure to consider fiber and vegetable intake in these analyses may explain the inconsistency of findings. In all likelihood, athletic amenorrhea results from a combination of factors. So I think that sums things up pretty perfectly, and I hope Maddie sees this message. You know, it's not likely that it's just her diet that is causing these problems. It's likely a synergy of factors that have just worked in tandem with one another to create these problems that she's had. For one thing, you know, she calorie restricts very frequently, loses weight, exercises probably excessively. On top of that, she's been eating this very high fiber plant-based diet, 100% plant-based diet for a very long time. And on top of all of that, she even has a genetic risk factor here where she just naturally doesn't produce enough estrogen. So I think there is a easy fix for all of this that could at the very least improve all of these symptoms you're having to the point where I think it would be tolerable to follow a plant-based diet. For one thing, how about gaining some weight? I think you could stand to gain a few pounds. You'd probably look better and feel better at a more sustainable, healthy body weight. So eat more, exercise less. I think your exercise might be a little excessive, so give yourself a break and just don't train as much. And on top of that, just make some dietary modifications within a 100% plant-based diet. You don't need to consume so much fiber. Instead of eating entirely whole foods, switch to some refined grains like white rice. Choose some lower fiber vegetables as your staples. And I think that would solve at least some of these issues or improve it to some extent. And before we move on, I want to point something out that a lot of people have been mentioning. A lot of people have been accusing her new boyfriend of convincing her to eat animal products. Maddie actually responded to this accusation on her Instagram. She said that she actually hid this even from her boyfriend, her trying animal products out as an experiment to see if it improved her health. So here's the thing, like all of these ex-vegans, there's a common pattern between all of them. They never share the issues that they've been having. They will never tell anyone in the community that, hey, I've been having these health issues, can anyone help? Like, Maddie, if you had just told somebody about this, you know, maybe somebody like me or a bunch of plant-based doctors or dietitians within the community could have helped you and solved this problem. Like, yeah, no need to murder innocent animals and see if that helps with your menstrual pain. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And on that note, Maddie later in the video discusses what she has been eating, like what animal products she's been eating to somehow magically cure her menstrual pains.
Also, you guys are probably wondering like what I'm eating. So like I said, I'm pretty much eating all plant-based. The only things that I have been consuming are eggs and fish. And I've been taking a fish oil supplement, which I do believe has really helped with like inflammation with my skin and also with my period pain.
So she's eating fish, eggs, and a fish oil supplement for some reason. I'll get to that later. So with these food choices, you are probably eating less fiber because these foods are fiber free. So that might be a good thing for you because again, fiber consumption seems to lower estrogen levels, which is a problem for you. You're likely eating more fat. Again, in the paper I showed, fat consumption did seem to help prevent these hormonal issues like amenorrhea. And you're likely just eating more calories by just introducing more foods to your diet. You can do all of this without like murdering animals. You could just eat more food, plain and simple. You could switch to eating more refined foods like rice or white bread, or just eat some lower fiber vegetables like potatoes. And you could just eat some more high fat foods like coconut milk. And why take a fish oil supplement? Like, I mean, you could take an algae-based DHA supplement. They're the same thing as fish oil capsules, only, you know, an animal didn't have to get murdered. Fish get their EPA and DHA from algae, so I don't know why you wouldn't just go with an algae-based DHA supplement. Again, the level of ignorance and selfishness here just baffles me. Why this seemed like a smarter choice to you? Like, instead of just telling people about your problems and seeing if, you know, the community could help you out and find an ethical option, no, I'm just gonna murder animals. And this is especially hypocritical considering the type of problem you're having. You're having a reproductive related issue where your menstruation is causing you horrific pain, and then you're ensuring that animals are suffering through that same pain. You're eating eggs. Chickens are selectively bred to produce as many eggs as possible, and these chickens suffer from reproductive issues related to that. They can suffer from osteoporosis from laying way too many eggs. They can have egg binding, prolapses. So because you're suffering from reproductive issues, like, you're ensuring other animals have to do that too? Like, are you just the center of the universe, Maddie, where you just get to, you know, decide that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna make sure other animals suffer and die and probably suffer a worse experience than I am just because, you know, I'm so special. I should be able to torture and kill other animals because, you know, it's just convenient for me. I don't like you. I think this whole situation really showed your true colors. I don't think you were ever, you know, vegan and believed in any of these ethical principles, but take all of this for what you will. Hopefully she sees this and maybe comes to her senses. And if you like this video, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon or through my website. I have some funding perks you may find interesting. If you're looking for clothing, then check out the Vegan Gains store. And if you're looking for online coaching, then check out Quality Gains. He offers customized meal and training programs. And if you click the link in the description, you can get a free ebook. And as always, keep making those vegan gains.
What a relief! When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.